What's up, man? It's your boy showing up and show little big fella here, JR. Yo, we in downtown historic Savannah, Georgia. We about to go show you guys, take you guys on a tour with us on the trolley. We're going to the Prohibition thing tonight. We got a couple things lined up for you guys. Stay tuned, like the channel. We're gonna show you some history down here. Just, you know, pretty much follow our day and how we have so much fun, right?
Yeah.
So look, stay tuned. We are ready. Let's go to the trolley. Beautiful day, as you can see. Beautiful day.
Yeah.
Wow. Savannah, Georgia. Oh yeah, and we are staying at the Hotel Indigo. Great place. So we're waiting on the trolley, and there it is. Trolley tours.
Down into the historic district. Now Ellis Square is one of the most important squares in the city, called it the Marketplace Square. They have the sprinklers for the children, the public bathroom here well kept, and it is a major part of city market and always has been because it allows city market to not get congested with people. Now for some reason in 1955, the city of Savannah felt that a parking garage would fit better. No one understood this because this was the Marketplace Square.
All this stuff out here.
Now they tore down the square and put the parking garage in, and it congested city market for decades. Now, 50 years later, when the lease on the parking garage was up, they quickly tore that down and rebuilt Ellis Square within 3 weeks to a month. Realizing that they made a huge mistake by taking Ellis Square down. The statue of the guy on the fire hydrant is Johnny Mercer, famous songwriter and singer. I'll talk about him again along the way. Sorry, Charlie's I called out earlier is right there in the front of us, and right next door to it is Paula Dean. Coco and Moss for the sushi lovers is right here to the left. I know I'm calling out food. I eat at these places. I'm genetically small. I love to eat. This is the breakfast place, Goose Feathers, and the Peach Cobbler Factory is right here that I called out for you all. Stop number 9 is also a city market stop, so you can go around and get off on stop number 9 to access these places as well. Now, if you like art museums and you're here in Savannah and want to see some of the fine historic art, you'll get off on stop number 3 or 9 and go down to Telfair Square. I'm headed down there and I'm going to explain the art museums that's in Telfair Square. 2 very historic art museums. Now, Telfair Square was one of the first 4 original squares to be laid out in the city of Savannah. They laid the square out in 1733. The same year the city was founded. They named Telfair Square of Edward Telfair. They named it of him because he's a continental congressman, and he was one of the governors of Georgia. Now, he had 3 children, Mary, Margaret, and Alexander Telfair. And it was his son, Alexander, that had an architect named William J. to design their family mansion for them in 1818. Now, it is Telfair Museum and Academy of Art, and they have all kinds of beautiful statues and history in there. One of the statues of my name is the Bird Girl statue. If you ever read the book or seen the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, they removed the statue from Bonaventure Cemetery and placed it here. She kept getting chipped at and bothered with. Now, Jefferson Center of Art, also a part of the Telfair Museum. It was opened up in 2006 and it showcases over 14,000 feet of exhibits of fine art is located in this building. Now, I know you can see some of the artwork on the outside of the building along the way here. Y'all all remember the movie Forrest Gump? Forrest Gump was filmed here in the city of Savannah. When the movie first comes on, what happens is a feather floats down from a large, beautiful steeple. The steeple is located here in Savannah. It is on top of the Independent Presbyterian Church. Now, when I get over this street here, the steeple will be up and to the left. Okay, up and to the left, that is the very steeple that the feather floated down to Forrest Gump's feet from. While he sat on the bench and told his story with the box of chocolate. Now, if the steeple is over there, that lets you know that the bench was once over there in that area. But as I said, they moved the bench from there and placed it in the Savannah Museum. If you want to see it, you can get off on stop 8 and go over there and take a look at it. This is Orleans Square, named for the Battle of New Orleans, the last battle that took place in 1812. And that fountain there is a German memorial fountain dedicated to all the German immigrants. Now we're going to circle these squares and you're going to see beautiful homes built in the 1800s. And the the late 1700s. I want to tell you a fact about long ago back then. Iron was a sign of wealth. The more iron you had around your home, the more wealthier you were considered back in those days. We're coming upon a Greek revival home called the Harper Folks House. This house here was built in 1843, and it changed owners 3 times before 1939 when Adelia Harper Folks purchased the home at an auction for only $9,000. The home was never sold again and can never be sold again. It is deeded to the Society of Cincinnati right now. You can take a tour through there for $9. Now this is the Savannah gray brick. This brick here, when they was tearing down property here in Savannah before they made the rule to tear no property down, is an important brick. It's the brick that was molded by the slaves in the 1750s. When the Savannah River was only 12 feet deep, they would get the clay from the bottom of the river and mold the brick. Those are handprints and fingerprints, palm prints of the slaves that molded the bricks. The brick goes down for $12 per brick. Another historic piece is the fence of poets and presidents. Each medallion has someone of importance on it. This is a large fence that was broken up into pieces and put on the barrel house in the back and the front. The rest of it is on the Cotton Exchange building around on Bay Street. The barrel house was built in 1848. The fence of poets and presidents on the front holds Tamachichi, Abraham Lincoln, and George Washington on 3 of the medallions. The barrel house was very popular for all the cast iron work around it. 2 more pieces of cast iron in the city, very valuable, dates back to the early 1800s, is the Dolphin Downspout. The Dolphin Downspouts are drain pipes that sit on each staircase. And back to the left in the middle of Chippewa Square is a statue, 9-foot bronze statue of James Edward Oglethorpe. Now, if you're familiar with the movie Something to Talk About with Julia Roberts, you'll be familiar with the red phone booth in the Sixpence Club. The scene was filmed here when Miss Roberts peeked through the window in her pajamas and watched her husband dine with another woman. Now, Forrest Gump and Something to Talk About is not the only 2 movies that was filmed here. Many movies was filmed. For instance, recently they just filmed Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers, the Halloween movie, the final Halloween. They also recently filmed the Exorcist movie. Recently also, so right now, actually they're filming The Color Purple. And they filming another one, let me see, Breaking Bad. They're filming Breaking Bad right now. Yes, long ago they filmed Gator with Burt Reynolds, Glory with Denzel Washington, the original Cape Fear. They filmed Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Lady and the Tramp as well. Now the Gothic style building here, this was the first Ford dealership that opened in Savannah. And stop number 4, you can go down to Mrs. Wilkes and get some southern food. Go in the Sorrel Weed House here, which is said to be the most haunted house in the state of Georgia. Anybody can stop 4. Next stop is stop number 5.
The most haunted house in Georgia.
We went through it, and then when
We're supposed to go through that tonight, yeah.
Story that she experienced was like
Tonight we're going through that with the ghost tour.
Madison Square is named for former President James Madison. And around the square, the Green Belgium House is what I like to talk about. Charles Green was a cotton broker back in the 1850s. Now this place was also known as Sherman's headquarters. Charles Green gave up his home to General William T. Sherman to spare any other Savannah the embarrassment of having to host an enemy. General Sherman surrounded this city in 1864. Before he got here, he had burned everything in his path on the way here. He burned Atlanta and Macon as well. Once he got here, Charles Green tried to calm him down by giving him his home for headquarters. The Savannahans took him for a ride around town to show him the city. He thought it was gorgeous. They gave him a lavish party and let him drink fine wines. And all of this changed General Sherman's mind. Instead of him burning Savannah, He wrote a letter from the Green Belgium house and he gifted Savannah to Abraham Lincoln for Christmas that year. Also gave him 150 guns with plenty of ammunition to protect the city and lots of barrels of cotton. All three of these historic pieces of property right here in this one block is owned by Savannah College of Art and Design. This is the first piece of property they purchased right here, the Savannah Volunteer Guard Armory. That's where the first 72 students went when they came here in 1979. That building was built in 1812. Jones Street to the right, and on the corner to the left is Mrs. Wilkes. Now Monterey Square. Monterey Square was built, named for the victory at Monterey during the Mexican War. And the monument you see in the middle of the square is dedicated to a Polish nobleman. His name was Casimir Pulaski. Pulaski was a Revolutionary War hero, and he also gave up his services to George Washington, saving the president's life that year. He fought on our side as well during the siege of Savannah. He was fatally wounded in the battlefield outside the Savannah Museum in that war. The remains of Pulaski is buried inside of Monterey Square.
Whoa.
This house was built in 1860. It's called the Mercer Williams House. That is where Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil was filmed and where the real life events took place. The left window on the bottom there is the room that Jim Williams murdered Danny Henson after he tore up his clock. He shot him. He said it was self-defense. He was tried for the crime 4 times. After the 4th trial, he got acquitted. But 6 months later, he fell dead in the very same room he committed this murder. And he lay dead in the very same position of the victim.
Whoa.
The Armstrong House used to be Armstrong State College. Right now it is owned by a guy named Richard Kessler. This is where he lives. Now, I don't know him personally, but everyone knows of Kessler. He owns a lot of fine property around Savannah. For example, he owns the J.W. Marriott, Plant Riverside District, the Bohemian. Everything on the west end of River Street belongs to Kessler. The fence around his home is a replica of the fence around Buckingham Palace. The Forsyth Fountain is in front of us. That is Savannah's main attraction to take a photograph in front of. It was purchased out of a magazine from New York City in the late 1800s for only $2,500. It was purple, orange, and blue at the time that the fountain was purchased. And then in 1935, someone came with a better idea. They painted it pearl white. It is a replica of a fountain that sits in the middle of Paris, France. The other side of Kessler's mansion, and I'm going to circle us around Forsyth Park, and this places us into the Victorian district of Savannah. The styles of the houses are going to change to more castle-like features. Very beautiful. The Georgia Historical Society Museum here, it holds over 50,000 volumes of portraits, manuscripts of history on Georgia. 3 photographs on the end here. The one to the end is Matilda Beasley. She was the very first African-American woman to become a Roman Catholic nun, baptized into the religion in 1869 after she fled Louisiana. Now let's go to the left. I'm going to circle the park. Forsyth Park, the fountain. Up to the left is a building with a trunk in front of it. That trunk is there every morning to show fresh flowers. That's the fragrant garden, created for the blind. Everything on the inside is written out in braille and wanting the blind to enjoy the park as well. Keep your attention to the left. Up and to the left, that monument is a Confederate monument, erected out in 1875, dedicated by the daughters of the Confederate soldiers who lost their life in the Civil War. Now, Forsyth Park is a huge park. The park is over 1 mile around. Forsyth Park was laid out in 1851, and it was named of a guy named John Forsyth. They named it of him because he was Secretary of State during President Andrew Jackson's administration. And it is another monument on the back of the park, dedicated to all the Spanish-American war heroes who fought on our side. We call this statue the Hiker. Coming up to the left. The Brighter Day Deli place was here ever since 1978. It has organic food in there like sandwiches and things like that. And that is the vitamin shop as well. The Bean Coffee Shop serves breakfast sandwiches, coffee, tea, and lattes. Now when Leach House opened, they're going to put a sign out to let you know that you can get a glass, a bottle of wine, but the big sign going to say fine wine, no regular wine. This building here is one of my favorite buildings to talk about. Telfair Arms Apartment for senior citizen living. You see, it used to be a hospital. July the 4th, 1976. I'm a bicentennial baby. I was born in this hospital, you guys. Yes, but I didn't know the history of the hospital until I got the job a year ago. The doors of the I was so ashamed. The doors of the hospital opened in 1881 by a lady named Mary Telfair. Now, Mary Telfair did not want any men in this hospital, and she made sure they didn't step one foot in the building. There was only one way a man could have got in. He had to be born in the hospital. But she would make sure the mother of the child knew, if you're having a baby boy, he'll only have 72 hours to be out of my hospital. It closed down in 1980, 4 years after I was born. But to honor Mary Telfair for the wonderful things she did for women, it's a hospital here called Candler Hospital that's on the south side of Savannah. And one whole block of that hospital is called Telfair Care for Women, dedicated to Mary Telfair. Now, Forsyth Park is a social and cultural place. It has a huge playground over there for the children. Sprinklers, they even open for the children. They hold jazz festivals, concerts. It is so cool. Now, the mansion on Forsyth is popular for weddings. It is a 4-story, 3-diamond hotel. It has a culinary art school on the inside. It has an art gallery, a spa, and a restaurant. 126 guest rooms and 16 suites. Now, the thing is, the mansion was never this big until Richard Kessler purchased a little small piece, and he added on a whole block more of the buildings in 1900s. Now, once Richard Kessler purchased the building, he had all of this added on. But when Kessler actually purchased it, it was only one small piece, and that's this castle-like style feature right here. That building was erected out in 1888. It used to be a funeral home long ago. Kessler purchased it and turned it into this big mansion on Forsyth. Now, the red door there. Y'all are going to see a lot of those red doors around the historic district, the Victorian district, and colonial district. Because long ago, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when you finished paying off your mortgage, someone would come and paint your door red. It was an indication of a paid mortgage. Now, the mansion on Forsyth has a restaurant called 700 Drayton Street, and Forsyth Park has Collin Quarters, a wonderful breakfast and brunch place. The playground for the children is on the other side of the restaurant. The Forsyth Fountain is over here to the right, and they got a well-kept, clean bathroom at all times. Would anybody like to try Forsyth Park? Y'all can stay with me, that's fine.
What stop is this?
I'm gonna get a quick count and get us out of here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And what stop is this?
What number stop is it?
Oh, 5.
Okay. We got 4 more stops, buddy.
Okay.
Going to the Prohibition tour. So I can go get me a drink.
Does everyone have a bath? Yeah, okay. If anyone need a map to circle and write down the stops they want to come back to.
Best friend getting the A in.
I don't know. It's probably in the room.
I do too, yeah.
All right, the next stop is stop number 6.
That's what I was thinking.
All right, y'all might want a picture of what's coming up. I'm not sure if y'all taking pictures, but it's a definite picture you may want. I'm displaying the trees here in Savannah. These little ones here are called crepe myrtles.
Crepe myrtle.
They're the longest blooming tree that'll bloom for 100 days. But the big ones that you see everywhere that's massive and beautiful are live oak trees. It is a Georgia state tree that stays green all year round, rarely ever losing the leaves. Yes. Now, Scad, I'm telling you how many buildings they bought. The biggest building that they restored in the city of Savannah is here. It used to be called Gateway, Senior Citizen Living. Scad has it. They gutted it out and redid the windows, the largest project. This used to be Candler Hospital here. Scad got the old hospital and named it Ruskin Hall. Scad couldn't change the name of the tree. The tree been around for a very long time. Candler Oak. Candler Oak is a live oak tree. And it is the oldest tree in Savannah.
Wow.
It stands 54 feet tall. The spread of the growth is 110 feet wide, and Candle Oak is 326 years old.
Whoa.
Now the great
Oh,
stuff.
tree.
Y'all have that stuff in town? Some people do. That's called Spanish moss. They gave it a beautiful name, but it's not Spanish adored the moss either. What it really is an airborne-based plant that lives off the dust and moisture in the air. And it also carries a bug called chiggers. So be careful if you're trying to take some home. You need to put on gloves to grab it up. It's a part of the pineapple family as well. Now we're coming upon stop number 6. Stop number 6 is the Massey Heritage Center. Used to be the Massey School, oldest public school in the state of Georgia. Opening up in 1856, and the school closed down in 1973. Now, also on this stop, you can access the oldest Jewish synagogue in the state of Georgia, the Temple of McMahon, and you also can go to, if you got tickets to the Mercer Williams house. You can go online as you're walking down there. You can just get your ticket online. It's a beautiful home. And right through Calhoun Square, it's Clary's. Anybody for stop 6? Yeah, you can get your tickets online. Yeah, pull it up and you can buy them online. Most everybody that get them gets them online. Y'all want some coupons to go in the American Prohibition Museum later? It's a really cool tour. It's fun. It's on stop 903.
That's wrong.
Right there. Just straight back right there. You're going to pass the Temple of McMahon, and then you'll be right back inside of Monterey Square.
You gotta sit on the bus.
The next stop is one of the most recommended stops. That would be the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. Now that's a top recommended tour. But I want to tell you about the Wesley Monumental Methodist Church. It was named of two brothers named John and Charles Wesley. They were the founders of Methodism. They came here and taught Methodism to the colonists in 1733. The church that's named to them is right there to the left.
There you go.
Clary's. Clary's is an old cafe. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Some of them was filmed here as well. It was established in 1903. It has sells breakfast and brunch. Now I told you about Jones Street for Mrs. Wilkes, but I'm gonna tell you now that Jones Street was voted in Southern Living magazine to be the most beautiful street to take a walk down in North America. And it is, to me. I'm not saying because it's my hometown. Jones Street is really beautiful. Now Lafayette Square is named of a French soldier named Marquis de Lafayette. He fought on our side during the Revolutionary War. Now the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist is the oldest Catholic church in the state of Georgia. Taking almost 10 years to build, the church was finished up in 1896. The architecture of the church is a Gothic style built church. I've only seen one cathedral, and that's this one, and I'm convinced I've seen the most prettiest church ever. Okay, it is free to go inside and take a tour, but my advice is to hold your breath. When you first go through the door, take your breath away. It really does. It survived 2 fires, and the last one was an arsonist. It's fully restored. One of Savannah's most historic churches in Savannah, the oldest Catholic church in Georgia. Anybody for stop number 7? Oh, got some people.
Cathedral of John the Baptist.